Start the live stream now. I will now call to order the study session meeting of July 27th, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically, and members of the council are participating remotely pursuant to the council's electronic participation policy and to practice social distancing. Public access to the meeting is available on the local Government Access Channel 8 for Comcast subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online and by telephone using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Joanna, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Here.
Councilmember Witkovich.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Downing.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Duran Mollica.
Here.
Councilmember Escobar.
Here.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. So our study session tonight is going to focus on the COVID-19 response and our community investments. And so we have Rupa Venkatesh, assistant to the city manager, and she will present information to council. So I will share my screen and pull up your presentation. All right, welcome, Rupa.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, City Council. If you want to move to the next slide, just to provide council and the public with just a brief background. So on May 5th, we received about $3 million from Adams County through an intergovernmental agreement. May 6th through June 15th, we solicited community input through our social media pages and also on Nextdoor and our Northland website. On May 11th, council started prioritizing ideas. June 1st, we did bring back to council our plans for implementation. And that included those items and those ideas that were both CARES Act eligible, and Corey did an analysis on whether or not it met the state constitution public purpose doctrine. So tonight, we will give you an update on money that we've spent and allocated so far. There's a couple of new ideas that council hasn't reviewed yet, so we'll bring those up. And then, of course, any new ideas that council has, we'll definitely welcome tonight. And then a reminder that December 4th, funds need to be spent per the IGA. And something interesting that I've been following is what Congress is doing. So the Senate Republicans had talked about possibly including in this next CARES Act bill, increased flexibility on CARES Act funding, and also to extend the time that we need to use the CARES Act funding. So just keep that in mind. We don't have any information yet. Nothing's passed Congress, but we're hoping that that does happen where we have a little more time to spend this money. And just a reminder, council prioritized these ideas into 6 different categories: public health, internal city expenses, education, support for businesses, support for community organizations, and support for residents. So I'll go through each of these categories. So the first, public health. And you'll see on these slides in the bottom right-hand corner, there's that red box of money that we've spent and or allocated for this category. So the first, hand sanitizer at parks. So 24 outdoor hand sanitizing stations have been ordered. You see the cost there. And we're just waiting on their arrival and installation. The adult and youth masks. So this is something that council had prioritized as an idea to provide these masks for our residents, and they proved to be very popular. So our initial buy was 12,000 adult masks and 3,000 youth masks. After we received a request from the schools, from Northland schools, they wanted 1,000 youth masks and 1,000 adult masks. So we went ahead and purchased additional 3,000 youth masks, since those were really popular with our residents, and 5,000 additional adult masks. And so again, those masks have been given to residents, care facilities, and schools. Also under public health, BB Blending gave us a really good deal for 8-ounce spray bottles of hand sanitizers that were $3 each. So we purchased an initial 5,000 that we distributed during the free truck grab and go and the summer goodie bag distributions. And then the schools also asked for some. So we had about 1,100 that we gave to them. And they, with the possible reopening of schools, there's always going to be a need from them for hand sanitizers. So we went ahead and purchased 2,000 more for them. So internal city expenses. So this is just a rough estimate of what we spent so far. And we're estimating a need left for $85,000. So that would include, for example, if we need anything for modifications with the city council chambers, if council wanted to do more telephone town halls. And then a lot of other municipalities are also testing their wastewater for the prevalence of COVID-19. I don't have any, any information that I can share right now with what we might be planning to do, but staff right now is doing research on the feasibility and the cost of doing that. So education, City Council allocated $55,000. And right now we've spent it on COVID flyers. The mayor did a specific mailing to all residents. Usually the connection newsletter is 8 pages, but we've added the extra 4 to focus more on COVID-19. And then we spent money on banners, the business back banners, standing apart together banners, and the hug signs. And so from that initial $55,000 allocation, we would estimate about $26,000 left over. And then the next category is support for community organizations. So this is something that Joanna will talk about during the regular meeting discussion item. But council allocated $500,000 and the outside funding agency received about $461,000 worth of requests. So if they want to use the rest of that allocation to fund any more requests, that's why I left that amount as is. So support for businesses. So the dining mini grant gift cards, we spent $125,000 on that. The Elevate Small Business Grant, which supported businesses with rent and mortgage, that was about $500,000. That was funded. Businesses Back Recovery Grants, City Council allocated $500,000. And then that small amount under temporary modification of premises. So I believe we've only received 2 applications from businesses that had to submit for a state liquor license permit. So we reimburse for that expense. And then if you add up all those numbers, it's not going to give you that round $1,125,000, but just in case more businesses do want to apply for that temporary modification, I just left it at an even round number. So support for residents. So you might notice that this is a small number in comparison to every other category, but just a reminder that Corey had looked over all of the ideas that we had and that that council had and that the community had for this category, but a lot of things that we would like to do, we really can't provide direct assistance to residents under the state constitutional public purpose doctrine. But that's why, we have that community organization category and that $500,000 allocated so that those community organizations can really provide that assistance to residents. But exciting news, by council direction, we were able to advertise and hire a community resource navigator. So Jessica Hultz started last Thursday. She is an MSW, so a Master's in Social Work candidate at the University of Colorado. And right now she's finishing up her internship with Almost Home, which is a children's shelter, the youth shelter in Boulder. So she started last Thursday and she's really hit the ground running with a lot of things. So we're very excited to have her. She'll be advertised a small section in the August Connection newsletter, and then we'll have a little bit of a longer article in September when she gets her feet on the ground. So just a quick comparison from what we brought forward to council June 1st to July 27th. really the only significant difference is that first category with public health. And the reason that I believe for that increase is really the popularity of our masks. So with the City of Northland directive, then the Tri-County, the Tri-County mask mandate for Adams County, and then now the statewide public health order for masks, we really have seen a uptick in residents wanting those masks. And then with schools reopening, they've asked for that as well. We have spent some money for supporting schools with masks and then with any hand sanitizing needs. So that's the reason for that, that difference.
Rupa, can I ask a question? Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. When you talk about the masks that we're buying, are we still buying that first batch of masks, or are we buying the second batch of masks that are a little bit more well-constructed? Which masks are we buying?
So the more well-constructed masks. So those are the 100% cotton masks that are 2-ply that have the Northland N on it. That's branded.
Okay, great.
So I think we can move on to the next slide.
Okay.
So just to give you the overall impact of what we've spent. So you see how much money we've received, how much we spent or allocated. And what we have left to allocate is $1,068,330. And then if you want to go to the next slide, Mayor. So the first two are additional ideas that I don't believe council has talked about yet. So the first idea came from an employee actually who had the idea of, so with the $25 dining gift cards, she has suggested maybe doing $25 gift cards to grocery stores and gas stations. I don't believe that grocery stores would be eligible because they have not been negatively impacted by COVID. And then gas stations, if council wanted us to move forward with that, we would just have to do a little research on that to make sure that they were negatively impacted. So with the dining gift cards, we still have some left over. And so the logistics would just have to be figured out on how we can distribute that to residents based on what events we have left over. The spotlight businesses on the marquee or the billboard. So this is actually something that Council Member Becky Brown had suggested. I don't know if you remember that, but okay. So we did check in with Debbie, who I think is on the line as well, if you guys have any additional questions. But essentially with the billboard, we would have 4 spots available for businesses. And I would say the biggest challenge would be to figure out, you know, which businesses would get those 4 spots. I mean, if council wants to pick and choose that. And then also Debbie had mentioned that with mile high billboards, they would need very precise graphics that most businesses now don't have access to and would have a challenge with that part. So if that's something that council wants us to move forward with either of those 2 items, you know, we would do the research on it like we did last time and bring it forward to council on our recommendation and whether or not it's feasible. The next 2 items, so the testing site in Northland. So this is something that Tri-County Health Department had reached out to us to ask about if we had any CARES Act funding left over because they're looking at doing mass testing in Adams County. And then also, I understand the Adams County Business Response and Recovery Team has suggested doing mobile testing for businesses would be helpful. So Jessica and I are actually touring the Thornton testing site tomorrow to figure out what the logistics are and what the costs and everything that is involved in that will go towards. So I don't have information on that, but that's something that staff is doing research on right now. And then CRN stands for Community Resource Navigator. So as Jessica is talking to residents and talking to care facilities and businesses and community organizations to figure out what the needs are really in our community that we can address, you know, she'll be able to identify those and identify possible funding for that. So an example that I gave is her reaching out to care facilities to see if they have any additional needs with PPE or other things. And with that, I think that concludes my presentation.
Okay. Councilmember Peterson?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to, I don't know if we should discuss this or if staff could maybe research this preliminary on a preliminary basis, but I wonder, is there a need, and I think there is from folks I've talked to, but is there a need as parents are struggling with the reopening of schools and struggling with daycare? Is there a potential or possibility that we could provide scholarships for working parents in Northglenn to attend a Northglenn daycare facility to do a couple things? It keeps business in our economy, keeps money in our economy. It helps working mothers, and it provides a need in terms of childcare that I think is now surfacing with some things with the return back to school. And so I don't know if that's of interest. I don't know if that's something that's worthy of researching. I don't know what other members of council think about something like that. But it's one thing that's maybe small that could do a lot of good for a lot of people.
So Randall, can I piggyback on that for a second? So I appreciate the, elevation of the school concern. And I wonder if even a more narrow look, because what is going to happen is teachers are going to go back to work, but their children might not go back to school. And so then you have teachers at work without childcare for their children. And so I'm just wondering if we would have the capacity even to partner to support our teachers in that way, to say that, if you have kids in school, especially those school age kids, but you have to work, but they're not going to school. It's a weird dynamic, and it's causing a lot of stress for teachers. So kind of doubling down on your idea. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just comment on that as well. It is very strange because we don't know yet if even Adams County or Adams 12 schools are what they're going to do. So, I do agree that supporting our schools, however we can, is a good priority to have. But I don't know if we can make any decision right now because we just don't know, what they're going to be doing. My question was really about the testing site. If we do a testing site here in Northglenn, it's everything that I've come across, which, there's so much information out there and some of it is changing and confusing. But this is a person would have to have a doctor's prescription or recommendation to get the test, to come to this testing site and get testing? Or is this, I could anybody in Northglenn who has a concern just kind of walk in and get tested? I'm just kind of curious as to what we're looking at in terms of how we might set that up. And I know you said you were going to go research one, but if you have any kind of an idea that you could give us.
Yeah, so from my understanding with Thornton, you do not have to have a doctor's note. From my understanding too, you don't even have to say that I've come in contact with somebody from COVID. You just make the appointment and you go in. And it's a drive-through site too. So you don't even have to get out of your car.
And then is this
and it's free.
Both kinds of tests, or is it the antibody test or the one that finds out that detects that you actually have it, or would it be both?
Yeah, it's not the antibody test. It's just the
find out if you have it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Mullica and then Mayor Pro Tem.
Awesome. So I guess I have two questions since we have two parallel conversations happening here. One, going back to the schools. So because we don't know what Adams 12 is going to do, and I think they're supposed to tell us
by Friday.
This week, hopefully. I'm hoping that they could let us know. But one of the things I was thinking about is there a way to even kind of take it a step further? Because there are some kids who could still do online school entirely. I mean, that's a choice right now. They surveyed all the parents. You could do an online for this full semester, or you could choose to do in-person schooling, depending on if in-person schooling is going to be available. Would it be possible for us to even create somewhat of like a summer camp type program where we would still have kids during the day and maybe we could even help them complete some of their programming for parents who have to work all day. I think that's probably one of the biggest obstacles of parents who have to show up at a job every day and then have to manage online schooling on top of that. And so it would be what I would think would be an extension of just a summer program, summer camp program, essentially continuing on. But you'd also have to build in some time to do, maybe some homework or something in there as well, or like some of those online modules. And so if something like that might be possible, because regardless of what Adams 12 does, there are going to be some parents who, would probably prefer not to have their kids in school, but still need childcare. So what does that mean? Or Adams 12 might not do online or might not do in person at all. And then everyone's going to be forced to find somebody who could sit with their kid and do homework during the day because they're not going to be there. And so I think, just kind of thinking about that process and what is it that we could offer parents, knowing that they do need full-time care in addition to school care on top of that. I mean, and it's just, I think that's the true need of what most parents need. And then when it comes to the testing site, one of the questions that I had was, Rupa, when you're going to go and tour this Thornton facility, is what is their average turnaround time for those tests? Because I'm assuming Tri-County's feeding them through the state health department, which, is a little bit longer than some of those private healthcare settings. And so I'd be interested to know what the turnaround time is. And then I agree with, I think Catherine was talking about how, you wouldn't need a doctor's order or anything like that. You could just come and get tested as long as you have residency. And then I guess another question is, how do they deal with like people who want to come back and get tested like every week? Like, is there like a one per person, one per household type limit that Thornton puts on it, or how does that work? So those are my questions.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Wolford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was also really interested in the testing site because I know when I was trying to get tested recently, it was kind of tricky to figure out what places were offering what tests and how long it would take. I mean, there were clinics in Arvada that could turn around a test in 8 days, but if you got tested at the Pepsi Center, it was 15 days. And so I think that there's a lot of confusion there, and it'd be really handy for our residents to have a testing location here at home. I do know that last week Westminster hosted a rapid test clinic at the MAC, I believe, for Adams County residents who were uninsured. And so I think one other question we might want to think through is, are we only offering this testing location to folks who are uninsured, or are we doing it for everybody? I don't have an answer. I just think it's something that we should think about and talk about. And so perhaps, Rupa, that's something else you can take a look at. I think the city of Westminster was the lead on coordinating all of it and worked potentially with Tri-County Health. And then I also agree that it could be worthwhile to start investigating what options we have to support working families, not just working mothers, with school-age children who need to get their work done if they are going to be in fact home. I know it's really tricky for many of us who have kids just to work from home and try and support our kiddos at the same time. So I would support something like that. But my gut is that once Adams 12 makes their announcement about whether or not they're going to be, providing in-class options or everything's going to be virtual, my guess is that a lot of other communities are going to start having this conversation, and that might be a better opportunity to collaborate more regionally and think through how we're fully serving our students, because I know that we've got a lot of Northland students who either don't go to a Northland school, or we've got a lot of students outside of Northglenn that go to a Northglenn school. So I want to make sure that we're able to fully provide services to our students, whether they're in Northglenn or just come to school here. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, those are really good points. Councilmember Brown.
Hi. I want to circle back to what Julie has said. I think it would be nice if, I think one of the elements that's missing from our kids is when they could use tutors and things like that for help. And I'm wondering if there's any way to integrate how Julie was speaking about day camp and things like that, integrate with our youth commission and do some kind of tutoring or something. So I'd like to throw that on the table too, because I think that would be awesome. We have so many smart kids in the youth commission, and I think it would be a great chance for them to have another community project, and it would be a great opportunity for parents to get tutoring and things like that. So I would like to look at that. In regards to the Tri-County and the testing site, do you know if Tri-County matches funds that we put into it, or it would be a total expense of Northglenn?
Yeah, so that's something that, Jessica and I will figure out as we're doing more research on it. I know Tri-County did ask if we had CARES Act funds left over that we could contribute to mass testing, but I don't know what they were thinking with that. So right now I'm not sure. And just to give you a heads up, so Jessica actually just texted me and said that what she found out with Thornton's testing site turnaround time was from anywhere from 3 days to up to a week.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
Sure.
Councilmember
Can I
Downing?
just ask one more question of Rupa, Mayor?
Oh, sure. Sorry, Joyce.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Becky. You're up.
Oh, did Joyce not want to be there?
No, just
I'm
finish.
just wondering from Rupa, have we looked at locations where we think a drive-through testing would work best for us, or do we actually have capability to do that?
Yeah, so those are the things that, we'll be looking into, the feasibility in different locations and things like that. So as soon as we have more information, we'll certainly share that with council.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Downing.
Thank you. I just wanted to weigh in on the daycare scholarships. I think that's a great idea to help, as many people as possible. I know that there's so many working families out there that depend on the school district and many other avenues. So anyway, I just wanted to weigh in on that. Would love to work and help the school district if possible, but I think we need to talk to the schools and find out what they need, so.
Yes, I think we should. And Adams 12, if we think about all the different options that are taking place in the metro area, we can sort of predict there's going to be a need. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Councilmember Malika.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add, Rupa, was I'm not sure if it would be possible, but to partner with SEL Health for the testing site. And the reason, one of the benefits is they have a location. They at many of our care sites, we actually have tents just outside of the ED entrance or whatever that people drive through to do testing. So that's something that we've implemented. But what would be great is if we could hook up with their lab capabilities, because they could process them faster.
Good plan.
Not even.
Okay.
Even if I was.
Any other comments for this topic? So Rupa, did we answer your questions? Do you want me to go back to the slide of the new ideas?
So I guess I just need direction on whether or not council wants us to do the research on feasibility of the first two. So the gift card, so additional gift cards, and then the spotlight businesses on the billboard or marquee.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you. My question on the marquee, I think, is if there's only going to be four businesses that could be put up on there, would that be like per week, per month? And then maybe Debbie could say something about whether or not, I mean, do we have any businesses who have asked for that, or think, I mean, what her impression is about how helpful she think that might be? So I guess that's two questions.
Yes, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, the thing on the marquee sign, which is over by Best Buy, is we do have 4 spots. If we use those for businesses, one, we would take away from all of our community messaging that we have. So like Shop Northglenn. Right now, those 4 spots are specifically for Northglenn, for marketing Northglenn. So that's one thing. It is once a month. So the ad that we would put on, if we decided to take the 4 away, would be for 1 month. So one business would be for an entire month. It wouldn't be for 1 day or for 1 week. They just couldn't do that many. Even with the graphics, we would have to pay them to try to do something like that. And I don't think they would. And then the other item on that is 6 businesses, as agreed upon with Mile High Signs, was that, I guess I could put my face up there too, so you see me. So Mile High Signs, 6 businesses actually advertise on there and they pay for it. So they're paying $450 each for 1 whole month. So it'd be very difficult to decide, one, do we want to get rid of all of our personal messaging? So right now we say there's COVID testing, and we've done make sure you wear your mask, and there's shred-a-thon, all those community impact pieces that we do. If we got rid of those, what 4 businesses would get up there? I think it would be very, very difficult to try to make that choice. And quite frankly, it would probably be unfair when there's 6 businesses paying $450 a month. That goes back into our general fund.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess in light of that, I think that maybe that it's not really worth it to do it if it's, it sounds like there are technical and other difficulties associated with it, and only 4 businesses would benefit from it.
Okay. Councilmember Witkovich?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councilmember Goff about the sign. It doesn't really seem like it would be fair, so I wouldn't support that. I also don't think that I would support the grocery store and gas station gift cards, just because I don't think those businesses, I mean, maybe gas stations lost out on a little bit, but I don't think that they were as impacted as some other businesses. So I don't think that I would support that unless a bunch of other folks would. And I just wanted to toss out my support for the testing site in Northglenn. I think that's a great idea. And also the child care scholarships and the ideas that were tossed around about that. I'd like to talk more about that. I think those are great ideas. Thanks, Mayor.
And Councilmember, I think it was Councilmember Brown, and then Councilmember Mullica.
I don't think we need to spend any time on the grocery stores because they definitely didn't have a decline in business. If anything, they got more business in the door than any of the other businesses that we have in town. As far as gas stations, I don't know if I could support that or not. I would have to really give it some thought. I do support some kind of a program, a tutoring program, a daycare program, something for our residents' children in the city. And I do support the testing center. I do want to see what that's like. But like Julie said, we want to make sure that we don't get in a situation like Frank, my son, had to wait 10 days. So I like Julie's idea that we try to partner with somebody who can do it faster. And I would not be in support of the rapid test because of some conversations that I've had. And as Mayor Pro Tem said, she was told that, if I am quoting you correctly, don't want to quote you, they're not as accurate. Her physician may have led her to believe they were not as accurate. So I would like to stay away from the rapid test, and I would like to partner with SCL if possible so that we can get quick test results so people aren't out of work as long.
Thank you. Councilmember Mullica?
I agree with everyone what they said about the marquee. I don't see much benefit to that. And then the other thing was the gift cards. I don't really feel super warm and fuzzy about gas gift cards. But maybe we could talk about another round of local business gift cards if that's needed. I'd be open to that conversation. That's it.
Councilmember Downing?
Thank you. I just want to weigh in on, I feel strongly also about the marquee. I don't think it would be fair to the businesses that are actually paying for their slot. So I would not support that. And I don't believe I would support the grocery or gas cards either.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Councilmember Goff?
I just did this, it's faster. I think that also I just want to point out that this community resource person that we just hired, we can give her an opportunity to do some outreach and find out some other ideas about what people might want. I mean, I think that with the grocery store and the gas station cards for residents who are listening, those would benefit the residents who receive them. But because of the way the CARES Act is being set up, that we can't do it for that reason. We have to do it because the businesses were negatively impacted by COVID. And I don't think that I know the grocery stores weren't, and I don't know about the gas stations. But the other thing too is that I don't think I'm wondering how feasible it would be to get a gift card from like Circle K or something that's specific to a Northglenn Circle K, and that they might not take that and go, to Thornton or, wherever, Timbuktu. I use that place all the time, I guess, in my examples. But I don't think the grocery store and gas station cards are really a good idea for the CARES money that we are discussing right now. And I'd like to wait and see what our community resource person is going to find out.
Councilmember Escobar, did you want to weigh in? Or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I pretty much agree with what everybody has said. I would put the emphasis on education, and I think the testing thing is we're putting the cart before the horse. We need more information before we can start asking questions about testing. So my 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay. Ropa, does that feel better?
Yeah, so just to quickly summarize, so we will not be moving forward with the grocery store and gas station gift cards or the spotlight businesses on the marquee ideas, but staff will do some research and report back to council on a possible testing site in Northland, daycare and summer camp type programs, possibility of scholarships for working parents, and then our community resource navigator can also talk to schools specifically to find out what their needs are and any other gaps that she finds when talking with residents and community organizations. Does that sound accurate?
I think so.
Then I am good.
Okay. Well, we have come to the end of our study session. Our regular city council meeting will begin at 7 o'clock. So everyone has about a 20-minute stretch break. So I will adjourn the study session and see you back here in about 20 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ready? Is everyone back? Julie, Jenny, you guys ready to go? All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock. So we are ready to start the live feed once again. I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of July 27th, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically and members of the council are participating remotely pursuant to the council's electronic participation policy. Public access to the meeting is available on the Local Government Access Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Public access is also available by telephone by utilizing the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. All callers will be muted and may only comment during the times allotted for public comment as indicated on the agenda. If you're on the phone line waiting to speak to council and are also watching the meeting on YouTube or Channel 8, please know there are a couple of seconds of delay with the live stream. Please turn down your computer or TV volume as we approach the sections of the agenda reserved for public invited to be heard, so you can hear the council meeting on the phone line and to prevent background noise when you are unmuted to speak. Those calling in and wishing to speak to council may text 303-450-8757 to sign up to provide public comment. Please note that you must connect to the City Council meeting by calling the separate call-in number listed on the agenda. If you prefer to not text your name to the clerk, please speak up and indicate your desire to provide public comment when prompted at the appropriate times. Once you have been recognized, state your name and address and provide your comments to the council. Thank you for following these directions and for maintaining meeting decorum tonight. Joanna, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Here.
Councilmember Witkovich.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Downing.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Duran Mollica. Councilmember Escabel.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let me share my screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Can you get off? You're cutting into the...
I'm on my phone. I'm not on the
Okay, City Manager Geyer, are there any responses to citizen inquiry?
Nothing this evening, Mayor Leidy. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda? I see none. Okay, we're going to move into proclamations. I will share my screen again. So we have Parks and Recreation Professionals Day is tomorrow, July 28th, 2020. Here we go. Whereas Parks and Recreation professionals in the city of Northglenn and throughout the state of Colorado have worked tirelessly through the COVID-19 crisis to ensure that local parks, trails, and open spaces remain accessible to the community. And whereas the many benefits of Colorado's great, vast outdoors have helped Northglenn residents stay active and healthy throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas within its border, the city oversees 27 parks and open spaces that cover more than 250 acres and are connected by 28 miles of the Greenway Trail system. And whereas the Parks and Recreation professionals adapted existing procedure to fit new and changing public health guidelines, always prioritizing the safety and well-being of all. And whereas the Parks and Recreation professionals have done great work to maintain cleanliness and safety standards in spite of increased park use and record trail use, ensuring equitable access for all Northglenn residents. And whereas Northglenn's park and recreational professionals deserve ample recognition for a job exceptionally well done. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim July 28th, 2020 as Parks and Recreation Professionals Day in the City of Northglenn and extend our gratitude to all who operate, maintain, and oversee our parks and recreation programs and amenities. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 27th day of July, 2020. And we have Amanda Peterson, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services, to accept our proclamation. Amanda, thank you for being here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you, Mayor Leidy, for the proclamation. A similar proclamation was done at the state level by Governor Polis last week, and appreciate Northglenn taking that same step. July is generally Parks and Recreation Month, and although it doesn't look like it usually does in the middle of summer, we just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to appreciate our staff for their reassignments and keeping up with things in a totally different world, just like many other city employees are doing, whether that be providing childcare in a day camp setting or virtual programming. We've got storytelling happening in full costume on Friday mornings, if you haven't seen it yet, to virtual fitness classes, and then slowly reopening our programming to in-person activities with Kiwanis and lap swim and swim team and youth sports. Like I said, it's not what a typical summer would look like for us, but just want to extend my appreciation to all of our staff who have continued to be creative and flexible and provide recreation amenities and programming for our community this summer. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our presentations tonight, we have the July Neighborhood Beautification Awards. So Jenny Murphy is here tonight. She's our Community Outreach Coordinator, and she will introduce the Neighborhood Beautification Awards program and announce each of the properties receiving an award for July. Hi, Jenny.
Awesome. Hi, Mayor and Council. Good to see you all this evening. As you are aware, but I like to remind all of our listeners that the Neighborhood Beautification program started 22 years ago this summer. And our city of Northland is divided up into 13 different areas. And we have 13 judges that spend time looking at homes and yards during the months of May for June, June for July, and July for August. And then they choose those homes, and those homes get to have a yard sign for the month that they are the recipient. And this month we are honoring again Yard of the Month winners. And I think you're going to be really pleased with the beautiful yards that they chose in July. So we can go ahead and get started. I did fail to mention that each of our recipients did receive a letter and were invited to call in. And I know that's not always the most fun thing to do, but during these times, that's the best we can offer. Hopefully some of them were able to join us. The first home that we have is 3145 East 107th Court, and that's Melissa Andrews, Natalie Phillips. And then we had two honorable mention young people, Marley and Maddox Acosta, who really are helping lots of families in that little cul-de-sac. So we wanted to mention them also.
So do we have that family on the line with us tonight? No, well, congratulations.
Hopefully they're getting to watch, but congratulations. The next beautiful yard and home we have belongs to Valerie Gallegos and Juan Munez at 2779 East 111th Avenue.
Do we have Valerie or Juan with us tonight? No, they have a beautiful home.
And Brian and Becky Maloney at 11804 Quam Drive. Beautiful tree and shade and beautiful yard and home also.
Are the Maloney's online? No? Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm kind of jealous of that trim work by the sidewalk.
I know.
It's
perfect. It's perfect.
I know.
Miles and Stacy Honish at 11562 Downing Street. And obviously we can see they were really in the July 4th mood in their yard. Looked really pretty.
Oh, yeah. So patriotic. Are they online? Maybe we should ask. Joanna, do we have families that have called in?
Hi, Mayor. I'm not sure. There are two callers on the line, but I'm not sure which families those numbers belong to. So I've unmuted them. Okay. And so if they'd like to speak up when it's their turn, they can do so.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you.
And next we have Candace Insinuous at 1921 East 114th Place. Again, another beautiful yard.
Candace? No? I know it's lovely.
Joe and Betty Abeda, good friends of ours, live at 10911 Mildred Drive, and this yard and home is just perfect.
I like the Northglenn hug sign in the picture.
Yes, that's right. A few of those. The next home we have is Arito and Inez Robinson, and they live at 181 East 105th Avenue.
That's beautiful. Are they on the line? No? Well, it looks great.
The next home is Laurel and Magdalena Marquez at 64 East 107th Avenue.
I don't hear that family joining us. I like the pinwheel in the front.
Yeah. Another beautiful home owned by Les and Linda Leopold at 355 East 112th Avenue, a great use of perennial plants in their front yard.
So pretty.
Leanne Girardino lives at 10888 Patterson Court. Another beautiful home, great shade.
No kidding. Leanne, are you on the line? No? Okay.
Jonas Sills lives at 10463 Santa Fe Street. Eduardo and Rosalba Cifuentes lives at 1712 Eura Lane, just a beautiful home. James and Antoinette Callahan live at 562 Melody Drive.
I don't know who's on the line. I think that was it.
Well, we wished we could have heard from all the families tonight. I did get to talk to everyone, and they're certainly honored and excited, and thank you all. And I will deliver their keepsake sign and their certificate tomorrow.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, I have to say, I do miss seeing these families in state council chambers. So when we bring that back, probably next summer, maybe.
Yep, that's right. Well, I'll see you all in August, if not before then. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you, Jenny.
Bye.
That is always fun anyway. Okay, so we're moving into the Youth Commission quarterly report. We have Youth Commission members Mira Bippin, Jacob Tao, and Elizabeth Donachi will present the report to City Council. And I apologize if I did not do a good job with your last names. Is there a presentation to go along with it? Do we have some youth commissioners on the line? Hello. Hey, good to see you guys. Do you have anything you want me to project? No? Okay. Well, you can unmute and...
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Donici. I'm the current Vice President of the Northglenn Youth Commission. And so we're going to start off the quarterly report with our 2020 goal setting that we started last year. The Youth Commission normally takes on one large project of our own every year. For example, starting in 2018, we started the process to implement little libraries to increase literacy rates. And we still have minor projects, but those are commonly with other organizations and businesses. The Youth Commission designated one working meeting to plan what we would work on in the future and came up with a few main ideas and genres to work with as we would end up working on this over a few meetings. Some being a teen club or safe space, impact of vaping and drug use in general, and many other issues in the youth. This eventually led into our peak of interest working with the Adams County Youth Initiative, and then we started into our tobacco research. Starting in late November of 2019, the Northglenn Youth Commission started working with ACYI, which is the Adams County Youth Initiative, and TEGA representatives, technology-enabled girl ambassadors, to conduct surveys across the youth of Northglenn to receive more information on the use of tobacco products, vape/nicotine products, and cannabis. They asked for Youth Commission's help to spread word amongst the youth, to recruit some teens and parents to be a part of the TEGA surveys. These surveys were given in a private, confidential manner so that any teen agreeing to take part in the survey would be safe. Eventually, by early February, all of these surveys had been completed and the ACYI workers and TEGA representatives started to wrap up, and ACYI began to look over survey results. The final stats were presented to the Youth Commission in late February, and we gave our final input on what different information and statistics they had found. And this ended up being a huge part of our 2020 goal and our goal setting, and was a really good issue for us to take on as it's an important issue in the youth and affects us. And then next, one of our older youth commissioners, Lily Kunis, who's been on the Youth Commission for about 2.5 years, was given the opportunity to spend a year over in Berlin, Germany, to study abroad in her junior year. She spent that year exploring the new country, learning, and staying with her host family. Lily left the Youth Commission for that year, and we are now proud to announce that we have her back for one final year with the Youth Commission. And now I'm going to hand it over to Mira.
Hello, my name is Mira. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been maintaining communication by having monthly meetings through Ring Central since we aren't able to meet in person. At these meetings, some of the big things we have been talking about is COVID-19 and the restrictions placed around that and how it has affected our community within Colorado and narrowing down on Northland. We've also talked about racial inequity and what we as a youth commission would like to do to contribute to that issue and ways to help. These meetings have helped us stay in touch and keep each other informed on current issues in the world right now. This year, we also have 3 graduating seniors, Carlos Manriquez, Shelby Rosner, and Jacob Tao. Carlos graduated from Northglenn High School and was on the Youth Commission since late 2019. Shelby graduated from Horizon High School and will be going to the University of Colorado Boulder. She has been with Youth Commission since late 2019. and Jacob graduated from Stargate High School and will be going to Colorado College. He has been with the Youth Commission since early 2018. We enjoyed all of our time with these seniors and wish them a good luck during their freshman year. Now I would like to hand it off to Jacob.
My name is Jacob Tao. I'm the president of the Youth Commission. So recently, the Youth Commission has taken on several initiatives that don't necessarily take the form of a definite project, but are just commitments that we've made to a particular goal. And one of those initiatives has been a commitment to increase our level of collaboration with other youth councils. So we've done that in a couple ways. One way is through the Denver Regional Council of Governments Youth Advisory Panel, which was created around a year ago to gather youth input on the process of developing the transportation plan that will affect transportation policy throughout the Denver metro area for the next 3 decades. So through that panel, we have 2 representatives from our youth commission who meet with other municipal youth councils from around the Denver area, around a dozen of them. And those meetings happen every few months. And I believe that process will continue for around another year until the plan is finalized. And we've also taken on some of our own more individual collaboration initiatives. So earlier this year, we had planned a joint meeting with the youth councils from Thornton and Federal Heights. And we had planned to have a meeting over dinner and to talk about issues that affect all of our cities equally and ways that we could collaborate on those issues. And unfortunately, that meeting was originally scheduled for sometime in April. So since very little was able to happen in April, that we haven't been able to have that meeting yet, but we've been working on ways to figure out how we can still collaborate despite having most of our communication being online. So hopefully in the near future, we'll still be able to develop partnerships with those peer organizations. And secondly, another initiative we've taken on, as Mira mentioned, is we've been discussing the recent dialogue around racial equity in the city. And the Youth Commission has made a commitment to participate in that dialogue. So the Youth Commission is hoping to help foster discussions and engage youth particularly in those discussions to see, to make progress in the city and really improve and advance racial equity. So the first step that we've collectively agreed to take toward that is that the Youth Commission will participate in equity and bias training. And the exact timeline for that hasn't been set, but we're hoping that in the next month or 2, we'll be able to do that so that we can really gain a better understanding of our own position and enter that dialogue from an more informed place. And many of the youth commissioners have also taken on an individual commitment to help spread awareness among their friends and their social circles of the discussions that are going on in the city around advancing racial equity. So I think that covers everything. So at this point, we will open it up to questions if there are any.
Thank you. Any questions for our youth commissioners? Councilmember Malika?
I wanted to thank you guys for your work with the tobacco project when it came to the Adams County Youth Initiative and you kind of partnering with them. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is, what are some things that you learned from that experience? And what are some things or is there anything that you'd like to see done differently, or, just kind of reflect on that project?
So me personally, one thing that I learned from doing the ACYI tobacco research is that obviously I knew it was impacting youth a lot. Going to a public high school, you can see it within the students there, but getting to learn that there's a lot of different sources that people are getting these products from, and there's a lot of different outlets for these kids, and they're thinking it's the new normal. And so I think learning all the statistics that ACYI found was really interesting to me personally.
Councilmember Brown?
I just wanted to thank you guys for coming in tonight. I think you did a great job in your presentation. And I'm sorry that we haven't been able to meet all together. January? February? I can't even remember when it was. It seems like so long ago. Jacob, congratulations. Very proud of you. And ladies, you did a great job tonight. Thank you very much.
So I was also going to congratulate our seniors. Jacob, very proud of you. You're representing yourself quite well as you head out. I know Amanda is on the call. Do we still have a plan to formally celebrate and wish our seniors on their way?
We do. We actually just spoke at last week's meeting. We are working on arranging a date to celebrate them with a dedicated service award that I'll get on the agenda here as soon as it's appropriate to do so. We were trying to hold out for an in-person meeting, but it looks like we're going to have to do that virtually. So I will work with the city clerk and city manager to get that on the agenda.
I know. Well, thank you very much. That was just a question I had. So, but yes, I really appreciate you meeting virtually and continuing the work and continuing to bring your ideas forward. Everything you shared was inspiring and awesome. So thank you for being you. Great job, Elizabeth and Mira and Jacob. It was good to see you. Oh, Councilmember Goff.
Sorry, a little slow on this. But yes, I just want to echo everyone else's sentiments. Very impressed with you, the three of you, and the work that you've done and your dedication to getting involved in your community and doing things to help make it a better place. So just know that we do appreciate everything you do and wish we could meet in person. Congratulations, Jacob. And we hope to continue, working with the Youth Commission in all its forms and shapes and continue to be amazed by you. Thanks.
Okay, I think with that, you are on your way. Thank you so much for coming. So our third presentation tonight is the COVID-19 Council Appointee Update. So we will start with City Attorney Hoffman, and we will have City Clerk Small and City Manager Geyer follow after that. So I will share my screen because I believe we have a presentation. Is that correct?
A brief one, yes.
Okay.
And this is frankly, this slide is very similar to the slide that I provided you several weeks ago. The work remains the same, just different questions. The only thing I would point out is that the questions related to compliance with and reconciliation of conflicting information in public health orders and executive orders has probably become much more prevalent in the past couple of weeks with the Tri-County order and then the governor's executive order. But again, we're just reacting to questions and responding to and trying to stay ahead as opposed to behind the questions. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sorry, I'm trying to look. Do we have any questions for our city attorney? Looks like none tonight. City Clerk Joanna Small.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll start with our essential services and just run through some current updates on these. So with licensing, I wanted to touch briefly on the COVID-19 temporary modification of premises applications, and that was for the outdoor dining options for liquor licensees. Rupa touched briefly on it in the study session, but to give a current update on that program, we have actually approved 4 temporary modification of premises permits, those being for Bad Daddy's Burger Bar over in the Webster Lake Promenade, Periodic Brewing over on East 112th Avenue, the Glen Bar and Grill over on Irma Drive, and then Texas Roadhouse in the Marketplace. The City Clerk's Office has been processing those applications concurrently with the State Liquor Enforcement Division. The state has been approving those permits very quickly. The City Clerk's Office, on average, has been turning around those applications in 2 business days. And that's, of course, conditional upon the other requirements or approvals that a business would need in order to expand out into the outdoor premises. We've also been following executive orders that impact liquor licensing. Recently, last week, the governor issued Executive Order 142, which is being referred to as the last call order. And that set out that alcohol sales would need to stop at 10 p.m. for the next 30 days for all liquor licensees. There was a lot of conflicting interpretations of that order. And so the governor actually amended that order on Thursday of last week to clarify that pertains to on-premises liquor licensees. I know that there is a lawsuit that's been filed by the Tavern League of Colorado asking for basically to block that order and to also reverse the capacity limitations for businesses. My understanding is that there is a court hearing scheduled for July 29th on that matter, but for now, sales of alcohol must cease at 10 p.m. at on-premises liquor license establishments, excluding sales for delivery. So we've been fielding a lot of questions from businesses on that. We also continue to field inquiries about other licensing matters such as marijuana licenses and peddlers and solicitors who will start going door to door during the warmer summer months. Then moving on to legislative support, it's business as usual with an asterisk that feels like we've had more council meetings than normal lately. So staff continues to prepare council packets and process council actions. One thing that we have changed is providing notice of public hearings and meetings electronically has really helped during the pandemic and the closure of City Hall. We typically utilize bulletin boards in City Hall because we have many customers coming in and even council members who can stop and read the notices if they're interested. When City Hall was closed, we actually added another category to our web docs program. IT did that for us, and it's called Other Notices. So you may have noticed a couple postings on there. And we did that because we normally post notices for instance, the Rocky Flat Stewardship Council or the Woman Creek Water Authority, Reservoir Authority. We would post those on the bulletin board, but since there wasn't access to the bulletin board, we wanted to provide them an opportunity to help notice their meetings for them. So those are now included under other notices, and we intend to continue doing that, even though there's no legal requirement for the city to do that. We think it's a nice opportunity to help provide notice to meetings that residents may be curious about as well. Okie doke. Moving on to the customer service and information requests. City Hall has been open since July 1st. We're very thankful for that. We're starting to see more customers in person, which is wonderful. We're continuing to respond to residents' inquiries about city council meetings, charter processes, continuing to process records requests, and then just handle your general information requests that we get every day. For virtual meetings, I'm happy to report that all boards and commissions are meeting virtually. I would like to give a special shout out to the Liquor Licensing Authority. They have really embraced this virtual space. The last couple meetings that they've held have actually included meeting with licensees or licensees legal counsel to handle approving stipulations for licensees who have unfortunately violated the code. But I listened into a portion of the meetings, and the Liquor Authority runs a tight meeting. It's very efficient. I'm really proud that they really embraced that virtual space, and really, really thankful for all of the city's board members' willingness to meet in that virtual space and to continue to do that. It's been really great. So moving on to the programs on hold, unfortunately, our passport services are still on hold. The Department of State has been great at releasing data every week. And so to give council and the public an idea of what the backlog is, the report that was released last Thursday, and this is for the time period of July 16th through the 22nd, they indicated that they received 143,000 applications that week. The number of passport applications awaiting issuance is 1.23 million, and they were able to issue 198,000 applications in that week. So what is the items that we are considering as far as when we reopen our passport program are twofold. The first one is the Department of State's ability to move through their reopening phases. They are opening using a 3-phase approach, and the majority of their facilities are still in phase 1. So they have limited staff available on site to process applications. Because of security, they don't allow any of their employees to work on those applications outside of a secure facility, which is great for customers, even though I know it is prolonging the application process. So we're paying attention to the data that they're releasing every week, trying to gauge when they're going to get back to closer business as usual, primarily because once a person submits their application, they will be without those original documents for the entire time that the application is being processed. So it could be months. The Department of State is not even releasing information as far as the processing times, and they won't offer regular processing times until they get into the third phase of their reopening. So with the Department of State's timeframe, we're also trying to balance that against the customer inquiries that we receive pretty much daily. I think the majority of our customers understand that to apply right now is not the best thing to do. The Department of State is offering emergency services, which are called their 72-hour life or death services. And luckily, we do have a regional passport agency in Aurora, Colorado, so they can help customers if it's a life or death situation. We are really eager to get back to that normal. So I just want our customers out there to know that we're paying attention, we're working on it, and we will reopen that program just as soon as we feel like we can and like it will be beneficial to the customer. So I'll take staffing and safety together. I really just want to thank the community who has been coming into the city clerk's office for wearing a face covering. Obviously, safety for our staff and also for the community is definitely a priority. And I know that's true citywide. We definitely miss the volume and the diversity of the customers that we're used to seeing each day. But like I said, as soon as we get back to that business as usual, I know our traffic will increase and it'll be a good thing. We will be shifting some staff hours to work more on records projects, since working in the records rooms is basically working in isolation, which can be a good thing and not a good thing. But we still want to continue to provide the services that we're here to provide, while also providing coverage between 8:30 and 4:30 and honoring that not more than 50% staff on site. Okay, so now if you'd like to advance to the next slide. Sorry, that was a whole lot for one slide. So then onto the COVID-19 nonprofit grant program. As it was mentioned in the study session, City Council allocated $500,000 of the CARES Act funding. And this was to support nonprofit community organizations who provide services directly to Northland residents in need. So information was sent directly to a variety of nonprofit organizations who provide services in many areas. Some of those are food, housing, family services, youth, including LGBTQ youth, senior services, culturally responsive services, physical and mental health, education, Navigator services, disabilities, and utility assistance. That's not an all-inclusive list. Information about that grant program was also advertised on the Community Resource Center's website as part of what's called the Colorado Grants Guide, where nonprofits have the opportunity to go check which grant opportunities are available. It was also published in the Northglenn Connection newsletter and promoted on social media. So we had 19 applications. 19 applications were submitted for the program, totaling $461,544 in grant requests. The outside agency funding committee met and they determined grant awards. With another asterisk, we are currently working to wrap up one of the applications that the committee has requested more information about. And we will provide more detailed information to City Council separate from this presentation, which I think will be beneficial to Council. We'll also provide it with Jessica, the new resource navigator. There are a few organizations who are serving our community that I'm not quite sure residents are familiar with. So I believe it's a great opportunity to make sure their services and their information get to the people who are really in need. And then to finish this up, I definitely want to thank the Outside Agency Funding Committee. The committee members are Councilmember Escobar, Councilmember Peterson, and Councilmember Witkovich. I know all of council. I know all of council has a lot of meetings and other commitments scheduled during the week. So I'm very grateful that they prioritized this program and were very flexible in getting together to review 19 applications and to make those decisions. So I just want to express my gratitude to that committee because obviously we needed their input in order to move this forward, especially based on the requirements and the different type of time frame for this program. And I'm happy to answer any questions now or at the end or whenever.
Does anyone have any questions for Joanna? I don't see any hands up. Okay. City Manager Geyer.
Thank you, Mayor Lighty. Good evening, members of council. A quick reminder for those of you who may have missed it. Last Monday, Judge Amanda Bell-Hash provided her COVID-19 update to City Council. So that is accessible via our website and our YouTube programming. I'm going to talk through a few different updates on how we're progressing through our COVID-19 response. Similar to what Corey, our city attorney, mentioned, you've seen this slide before. These are the key routine items, I would say, that provide a consistent foundation to our COVID-19 response. I would say the last bullet in terms of providing stability and hope, I think is something that has required more time and energy, and really, I would add, providing reinforcement of keeping up employee morale in light of a lot of the racial inequity tensions that have arose within the last couple of months. Last week, I held 4 meetings with our police department in light of that, as well as in support of responding to any questions and concerns about our police department assessment. So while we're really in the midst of overall COVID-19 recovery and each week can bring something new and different, we are still continuing to move strategic initiatives forward, such as the PD assessment. Budget 2021 is well underway, and that'll be coming to council in September, as well as other initiatives, whether it be legislative mandates from the state legislature and, again, strategic initiatives. You can move to the next slide. This slide is a snapshot. You've seen it before of many of the meetings that occur on a weekly basis that are instrumental in terms of overall collaboration and information sharing. A key piece that I'm really proud to be a part of here in Adams County is the weekly or biweekly meeting, or as necessary meetings, that Ray Gonzalez, our county manager, holds with city managers throughout the county. The information sharing in Adams County is excellent, and I'm really proud of that aspect and collaboration that we have among managers. This really, in recent weeks, has proved to be foundational when we've been talking about the Tri-County Health Order and who was planning to opt out, who is going to remain in that order. So really proud to be part of the team here in Adams County. We've held several telephone town halls, and this week we'll be hosting a telephone town hall specific to the PD assessment. But we have found that when we hold these telephone town hall meetings, that sometimes we get questions here and there about COVID-19, and we're always happy to respond to those questions. Next slide, Mayor. So at the place we're in today, it's interesting to think back to where we started, and mid-March seems so long ago, yet it was just a short couple of months ago. We're now in the safer at home and in the vast great outdoors. We've certainly moved through the safer at home phase, and where we want to get is to the protect your neighbor phase. Unfortunately, data doesn't look fantastic in getting there, and so part of that collaboration that I mentioned with Ray at the county level and my fellow city managers is talking about what we need to do to make sure we position Adams County as a whole, not just Northglenn or Thornton or Westminster, to where we can be in a position to apply for a variance and move to the protect your neighbor phase. Now, I know that's on hold at the state level, the acceptance of variances, and we as a city had provided a letter of support in partnership with Adams County for a variance for arcades, which would benefit one specific business that's well known here in Northland, and that's Boondocks. We're awaiting word on whether or not the state will approve that variance, and given the way data is looking, we remain optimistic, but have yet to hear whether or not that variance request will be accepted. So the governor's safer at home order runs through July 30th, as many of you know, but for the public's benefit, just want to reiterate that. The mandatory statewide face coverings order runs through August 16th, and it's for individuals 11 years and older and for indoor public spaces. And then the Tri-County Health Department mandatory face covering order is good for 90 days. That started on July 24th for both indoor and outdoor spaces. And that is because of the data here in Adams County, as well as the Tri-County area specific to Adams and Arapahoe counties. Important to emphasize to the public, state and local public health orders are mandatory. And then we've provided these links in the past, really encourage residents to stay up on the information that the governor's office is providing on the state website. Tri-County has continued to add information, and local city profiles are included on the Tri-County Health Department webpage, as well as other great resources. So we encourage you to utilize both of those. Next slide. I'm not going to read the components of this visual. The visuals being provided in this PowerPoint as a reminder that this is a visual we started using a few months ago, and we provided in our connection newsletter. So you'll see this again in the next edition. And this is where we're providing residents, members of the public, with an update on terms of what's open. You heard City Clerk Joanna Small talk about our passport program. And then you can certainly see greater detail. We have a column broken down by private industry, so you know the impacts, as well as programs and events. Amanda Peterson, our Parks and Recreation Cultural Services Director, earlier spoke about the creativity of staff, and I can't say enough about our park staff, as well as Parks, Recreation, and Cultural staff, along with our special events staff. They have been amazingly creative in their approaches to providing engagement in this COVID-19 response, and working with the health department and just the overall collaboration citywide. I'm really proud of. Next slide. I'm not going to read all of these bullets to you, but as a reminder to the public, I've included it in past presentations. We're non-critical businesses that are open are limited to a maximum of 50% of their employees, encouraging social distancing, and then 10 or fewer people in a single location. So just key reminders on that. Next slide. And the second bullet on this slide really gets to the heart of how the city's been operating. We continue to encourage employees to telecommute whenever possible. and we're operating at that 50% reduced capacity. And so we've been really flexible in working with our hours. Currently, City Hall is open 8:30 to 4:30, and that allows for staff to come in first thing in the morning, execute on the cleaning protocol that we have, and then in the afternoon as well. So far, we've had great success with the telecommuting. I know probably the biggest problem that we have right now is we have employees that want to be back in the office, which I think is only natural given the fact that we've been in COVID-19 response and recovery for quite some time right now. And, there's some things that are optional and then some things that we just really have to follow strict guidelines on to make sure that we're doing everything to protect employees as a whole, as well as community members that use our facilities and programs. Next slide. So key reminders on what we need all of our community members to do, which is to wear a face covering when you're in public, as well as indoors in any of our facilities. We have friendly signs posted at all of our facilities that remind you to do that. We continue to make face coverings available. Our Northglenn masks that you see here with the logo, and they're the 2-ply cotton, great, easy to wash and dry. We continue to encourage 6-foot social distancing and no gatherings greater than 10 people or more in a single location. And so we'll continue to operate in this virtual city council meeting space for quite some time. And that we just really want to remind at-risk populations, our senior populations and others, to make sure you take extra precautions and stay home. But when in doubt, we have employees working day in and day out, and we're here to serve you and more than happy to answer any questions and help you get connected with services that you need. And with that, Mayor, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for City Manager Geyer? I just want to echo sort of your last slide. I really appreciate the update from all three of you. Just a reminder that we are in this COVID-19 pandemic still, and our numbers are going back up. And so we need to be really cautious and really careful. And just to remember that, I know sometimes it feels like business as usual out and about. We wear our masks and we still go everywhere. But I think we need to be just mindful that our numbers are back up to where they were in April. So we need to be really careful in Colorado. Councilmember Escobar.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions, but to our three appointees, I just want to personally say thank you. I feel blessed to work with each and every one of you, and I believe the city is in good shape. So thank you for the great job that you're doing.
Thank you, Antonio. Much appreciated.
I agree. 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Nope. Okay. I think we're ready to move on. Our next item is public invited to be heard, 5 minutes per speaker. Joanna, do we have anyone signed up to speak to council?
We do. John Algie is on the line from the Northglenn Thornton Rotary Club, so I will unmute John.
Okay. So welcome, John. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. So welcome, John. How are you?
Good evening, Mayor Leidy, Mayor Pro Tem Wilford, members of council and staff. My name is John Algie, and it's good to be talking with all of you again. I did to see council members Mullica and Goff last month at the food truck festival. I forgot which park it is. It's over near Be Good. But it was great to see them in person, and of course we were masked. So getting to business, I am John Algie, and I reside at I-3187 East 95th Drive in Thornton. I am the Sergeant at Arms of the Rotary Club of Northglenn Thornton, and I also serve as the Food Drive Committee Chair and their new Marketing Director. So I speak to you all this evening to announce that our club will be conducting our first ever virtual Duck Derby on Saturday, October 17th at 4 p.m. Our board met last Wednesday, and we decided in the interest of public health and safety, sorry about the background noise there. I'm in my patio. Once again, our board met last Wednesday, and we decided in the interest of public health and safety that virtual is the prudent way to conduct our annual fundraiser this year. We would like to thank the City of Northglenn for their continued support of our club, and also thank you for being a sponsor of our Duck Derby this year. I just checked our website, and I'm going to read that off here in a moment. And so thank you again. And then we look forward to resuming our live in-person Duck Derby on the 4th of July next year at E.B. Raines Memorial Park. And speaking of the webpage, we have created a webpage to sell our Duck Derby tickets, sponsorships, and corporate ducks. And the website is www.rotaryducks.org. Once again, www.rotaryducks.org. And both Johanna and Debbie, I sent emails with that information. And tickets are available for sale. There are some minor kinks to work out on the website, and they are being addressed, and they will be fixed very soon. And we'll be also posting a Facebook event within the next couple of days. So I will return to Northglenn City Council in 2 weeks with some updates. And once again, Madam Mayor, thank you for all you do for the community during these very challenging times.
Thank you, John. It's so nice to hear from you. So it sounds like Councilmember Brown has a comment.
Good evening, Councilmember Brown. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well, man. We're staying safe and healthy.
Hey, are we going to be able to virtually stream the Duck Derby? Because how do I know you don't cheat?
Well, we are doing virtual, but what we're going to do is we have from back of the 2012 Duck Derby on our Facebook page, and we have a company called Revenue River that created the webpage, and we're going to do like some snippets. We're going to edit, and then they'll have the race video, and then at the end, the numbers will pop up for who wins.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, you're going to tell us are we donating ducks? Are we already past that?
I believe the state of Northglenn is already donating.
You know how we usually have a corporate sponsor?
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe the state of Northglenn already has done that. Yeah. However, we are encouraging folks, if they are able, you can do like a $5 for a duck. There's like a quack pack for $5 for $20. And then you can get like 10. Let me go onto the webpage real quick. I can on my phone here. And I believe it's for 15 ducks, $50. And then corporate ducks, are 100, and then sponsorships are 500.
Thank you, John. I can't wait to watch it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks for all you do. Good to hear from you. Stay safe.
Thank you, John, and to all of our Rotary members. Really appreciate your volunteer work during this time. And it's always so good to hear your voice. And thank you to Councilmember Goff for putting that website up, rotaryducks.com. Very nice.
.org.
.org.
Yeah. And Madam Mayor, I have one more announcement to make, and then I will zip my mouth here.
Okay.
Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church has not had their food bank for the last month or two, and the reason being is not because of lack of funds or volunteers, but they had a remodeling project planned before COVID hit. They went ahead and did that. Mary Kennedy, who runs the food pantry there, I contacted her last week. She emailed me back, and she mentioned that next Tuesday, August 4th, they will be back in operation.
Awesome.
So I wanted to share that with the council.
Fantastic.
And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, John. Good to hear from you.
All right. God bless you all. Stay safe. Love you guys.
Thank you. Joanna,
Bye-bye.
do we have anybody else?
I'm going to unmute a couple numbers on the participant list, just in case they would like to speak up and speak during public invited to be heard.
Okay.
They're not required to, but I want to give them that opportunity since I don't have anybody else signed up.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anybody that would like to join us for public invited to be heard?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hi, Nancy. Go ahead and state your name and your address, and then you will have 5 minutes to speak to council.
Okay, it's Nancy Sauter, 283 Garland Drive, Northglenn, Colorado. Ward 3. Hi.
Hi.
The only reason I'm calling is to ask you, what is the training for animal control officers?
That's a good question. City Manager Geyer, can you respond to that?
Sure, I can't answer specifics other than I would say it's year-round and multifaceted. I know Commander Waltz was on the phone at one point. Heidi, is there something more specific that you could add to what I'm sharing in response to Nancy's question? The other thing I can do is I can get a detailed list of what trainings they go through and provide that to you, Nancy, if you'd like us to do that. I think I have your email address.
That would be great. I would appreciate that.
And yes, we can get that detailed list to you. They do go through some specific training for how to, control animals, things like that. But I prefer to get you the specific list because just off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to answer that for you. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine. And that would be great if you would do that. And thank you, everybody, for everything. And love you all.
Thank you, Nancy. Hey, just a reminder to anybody online, we have our telephone town hall Wednesday at 6 p.m. So that's another opportunity to engage us and ask some of those questions. All right, Joanna, do we have anybody else?
No, there is nobody else on the line or signed up. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're moving into communications. We will start with Ward 1 and go alphabetically. So Councilmember Peterson, how are you?
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you very much. I'll let Antonio and Ashley talk about this a little bit, but really a great opportunity to work with the community services grant and to give some funding and some resources to so many great organizations that are advocating for people. Food stability, shelter, healthcare, dental care, cultural awareness. It's just, I don't know. It's as we have a resurgence of COVID here, and I think it's a downtime and a tough time in the United States. And this is gonna, I hope to God I'm wrong, but this is gonna be with us for a long time. And as we move into our budgeting process, we're gonna, all have to see what we can do to, help a community that is going to continue to be in need. And this was a small part of it. So I'm very, very grateful to be a very small part of that, grateful for the COVID money and the work that committee did.
Thank you, Councilmember Witkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to piggyback off of what Councilmember Peterson was just saying, I want to thank Joanna for all of her hard work with that grant program. I think we were really efficient reviewing all of the grants, and I'm proud to have worked on that. And I'm just glad that it all worked out well. I attended a few meetings in the last couple of weeks. On Tuesday, July 14th, I attended Historic Preservation Commission. Everything's going well there. They're just continuing work on the grants they're continuing to coordinate the work that's going to be done with the grant money on the surveys and Desert Estates. So that's kind of exciting. Our outside agency funding committee met on Wednesday, July 16th. I also attended a couple of ribbon cuttings a couple weeks ago for Scooters Coffee and also Second Time Sports. I was really happy to be part of that. North Metro Fire Rescue Board, I attended that meeting last Tuesday, and I just wanted to pass along their gratitude. They're really glad that we got the fire code vote taken care of, and they're really happy with that. I wanted to give a shout out to the Parks and Rec Department and also the lifeguards out at Kiwanis, because my husband and I had the opportunity to go swimming at Kiwanis on Saturday before it started raining. And it was a good experience. Everybody was safe and lifeguards were really great. So big shout out to all of them. And I just wanted to mention to everybody listening that we are having a Ward 1 virtual meeting on September 1st at 6 p.m. Hope everybody can join. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Downing. Oh, no, I'm going alphabetical. I said Councilmember Brown.
Well, I started to go to the to the youth commission meeting, but I was having internet troubles, and I think I am tonight again too. So if I disappear, know that it's that. I'm really looking forward to getting back to Colorado and falling into my own routine again. And I'll be there by next Monday's meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Downing.
Thank you. I just, first of all, want to congratulate all of our winners for the beautification program. All the homes are beautiful, and we really appreciate all that you do. So thank you for that. Also, I attended with some of the other council people the ribbon cutting for scooters, which was a lot of fun, and also second time around sports. So that was great. It's good to see that our businesses are starting to open and we're celebrating with them. So that is great. I wasn't going to mention this, but really I was attended a meeting, an NLC meeting, Council and Youth and Education and Family Board meeting that I'm on. And after we went through the entire meeting, and it was very interactive, I have to say I'm so proud of Northglenn and all the things that we're doing, because we are out in front of so many things. So I'm extremely proud of what we've done. Thank you. You're muted, I think.
I'm muted anyway.
Yeah.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, well, I didn't, it seems like we've been really busy, but we've had lots of special meetings. I did attend the Rangeview library meeting, that's the Anythink Library, July 15th it was. And they have just recently switched to a new cataloging system. So for those of you who have used their services online, if you haven't already gotten that notice, or if you've noticed there's some kind of a problem, you have to actually log out and then log back in and change your password in order to be enrolled in the new system. So I myself had a little confusion with that, so I'm just putting that out there. And they had their auditors report at the beginning of the meeting that I was able to participate in, and they look like they're in good shape this year. Their revenue is mostly based on property taxes, as we all know, those aren't going to change. I mean, they change every 2 years. Well, the assessments come out every 2 years, so there's no change at least for the 2 years. So they're doing well, and they are starting up cautiously, opening to the public. And I was listening to their plans. They seem to be very thorough and very concerned with keeping people safe. So that was the Anythink Library meeting, and the ribbon cuttings were such a pleasure to participate in, to be outside, to see some of the fellow council members in real life again, even though we had masks on. But so I'm hoping that we get to do, gradually get to do a little bit more of that kind of thing. Things outdoors are wonderful. Just sing the praises of Parks and Rec and the fitness programs. I was able to do Pilates in the park a couple of times now. So they're doing some of those classes outside. And they continue to offer the online classes, which I very much appreciate. So I think that's probably all I have right now. So thank you. That'll do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw your Pilates picture. I was very jealous. Councilmember Mullica.
All right. Thank you so much. I don't have much of an update tonight. The only thing that I wanted to share with this group is that I was appointed to the RTD Accountability Board. And so that is really exciting. I'll be representing the North.
Oh, and then you froze. I totally froze. I think she's the only one frozen, yes.
Yeah, Julie, you're gone.
Yeah. She's totally frozen. Okay, we're going to let her reset. And we're going to go to Councilmember Escobar.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing for me tonight.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do you want to let Councilmember Duran-Mullica finish her comments? She's back.
Oh, she's back. Yes, I will. I'll circle back to you. Thank you. Yes, finish. It was a celebration. Congratulations, by the way.
I was really excited about the RTD Accountability Board. I don't know really where I got cut off, but I'm excited about this opportunity in representing the North region. So I have that going for me, I guess. So we're going to actually start meeting this week. So hopefully we'll have some good news coming out of that, and I will definitely let you guys know how those agendas start rolling out. And really, I plan on relying a lot on the regional staff. You know, we have great staff here. We have Brooke with Northglenn. We have Deb at Westminster, and of course, the NADA staff are just absolutely phenomenal. So I feel like we're going to have some good representation there. And then my only final comment is actually, sorry about my technical issues, but my only final comment is actually about the council protocol that we are going to be passing via a consent agenda. I was thinking about that protocol this past week, and especially after last week. And to be honest, I was a little disappointed about how we conducted ourselves with our meeting. And I hope that everybody reviews at least the first portion of that protocol. And let's just remember that we're here to treat each other with respect, and then that we hold each other accountable to that. So I wanted to make that my final comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you for representing us. You're going to become the transportation guru of the North area.
Hey, I have lots of people behind me, okay? Just remember that.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to start by echoing congratulations to Councilmember Duran-Mullica. I feel like you're going to be so fantastic in this role. You're going to serve us so well, and I'm just really excited to watch you lead on this committee. So congrats on being appointed. Second, I wanted to share, I got an email over the weekend from a resident asking why temporary speed humps were removed on Livingston Drive. And I saw that there was some chatter on Nextdoor as well as another place on Facebook. And so I just wanted to share a response that we provided the residents about the speed humps and what was going on. And this was provided by Kent Kisselman, our Public Works Director. But what he shares is that this temporary speed humps were removed in order to make way for permanent speed humps that are going to be placed later in August. There's not a schedule yet for when they're going to be placed, but the permanent speed humps will be going back on Claude, on 112th, and on Livingston. Livingston will now have 3 speed humps spaced approximately 500 feet apart. And the streets crew will start citywide striping that will take approximately 3 weeks. So if folks can be patient, know that we're just in a bit of a transition phase here, and we'll get our streets all taken care of shortly. The other thing I wanted to share is that I was out. I missed the last 2 council meetings. I missed last Monday and I missed last Wednesday. And I certainly was not out having a vacation. In fact, I have bronchitis and I'm still recovering. And so I just wanted to offer a reason for why I was gone. I don't typically miss council meetings if I can avoid it, but just thought it was important for me to be transparent with our residents about why I was gone. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to note is Councilmember Mullica brought this up about, we're going to be approving the council protocol on the consent agenda this evening. And I just wanted to take a moment to address the chosen behavior that we witnessed at our regular council meeting. I guess it's 2 weeks ago now. The behavior I'm talking about included a council member interrupting their colleague, a council member talking over a colleague, and a council member levying personal attacks on a colleague. The behavior was aggressive, it was disrespectful, and frankly, Northland, our residents deserve better. If we're going to adopt our council protocol this evening via consent, then we need to agree to hold each other accountable to that protocol, which means talking about bad behavior when it happens. It means talking about missteps, helping each other along. We can't sweep bad behavior or the missteps under the rug and only talk about protocol when it's convenient for us. This is a living, breathing document that we each have to take responsibility for, because the protocols aren't just agreements we make to each other, but they're agreements that we make to our community as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Looks like we lost Council Member Mullica in the middle of that. Yeah, I completely agree. And it is true that we are approving in the consent agenda our council member protocol. And it's really interesting. I think we need to look at it from all angles. We had some team building sessions in January. And then I think we finished again in February, maybe. It was all pre-COVID. And it is true. And we had a lot of conversation about how that accountability piece should look. And I think we all need to hold each other to that standard, but we all need to do some self-reflecting on that. So I agree that it was good to raise it up, but I think it's good for all 9 of us to take a look at ourselves as we move forward, because we are a team and that was how we set out. So thank you for that. My pieces, I also was at those ribbon cuttings, and it was so exciting to be back out in the public and getting to cut that red ribbon for our businesses. So Scooters Coffee was super exciting to be with them. They were having a customer appreciation. They also have a great app. So I encourage anybody who's going to drive down Washington to get the app, because you can earn points and free items just like you would anywhere else. So that was a really great place. The coffee was delicious. We were also at Second Time Sports, so that was kind of a double ribbon cutting because they were moving locations. So they are over by the courts, and they have a beautiful facility. And I think what I was moved about the most was the family closeness and the family business. I mean, everyone was there, and it was so great, and they're running it together, and it was just lovely. So that was really fun. I also want to do a quick shout out to our communications team. Diana and Olivier were up on the roof of City Hall with me this week as I recorded my Mayor's Monthly Minute, but also a little piece for our Northglenn Arts. And it was a lot to get up there, but it provided the best view of the rec center and the mountains. And it got me really excited about that construction project. But thank you to that team that always does such a professional job. And then I want to make sure I get this on my phone. I went to the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership. I do serve on their executive committee. And I just wanted to remind residents and council of the merger that took place. I think we all remember, but we're still in the final stages of approving all of that. So it's now called the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership, but it was the Adams County Economic Development, and it merged with the Metro North Chamber of Commerce. And so that merger created a lot of things. They changed their location. They've, lots of things to approve. They are looking at getting a nice financial audit done so that they can start out with a clean slate. But they are also providing mini grants to small businesses in addition to the ones that Adams County has and in addition to the ones that we provided. So there are additional mini grants to small businesses. They are also running something called a Safe and Open campaign, which they have some stickers that go in the windows of small businesses to indicate that they are open again, but also healthy and safe and sanitary and clean. And they have 2 webinars that I wanted to make sure people knew. There's a healthcare webinar on August 12th at 11:30 a.m. And there's also a transportation webinar on September 16th. So those are upcoming and more information will follow after that. Okay, so we now have City Manager Geyer.
Thank you, Mayor Lighty. I sent council an email today with the tentative future agendas, and there's quite a few changes and things that I've had to move around. I've had to add a study session on August 12th so we can go over the police citizen oversight models and make sure we have adequate time to do that presentation. So please take note of that. Fortunately, we are in a space where I feel like we're starting to get caught up with some of the items that were on our, what I call our tickler list on that tentative future agenda that we've kind of had to put on hold because of COVID-19. So hopefully you find that exciting that we're getting caught up on all of those pieces. We had an awesome response to our Human Resources Director recruitment. We had 186 applications from 29 states, the largest number of applicants coming from Colorado, California, and Texas. So we are moving forward with shortlisting that group of candidates. And if you can mark down August 20th, that's the date that I'm shooting to do the community meet and greet. I do not yet know that it'll be virtual or in person, likely virtual, but we'll see what I can do to do something in person with the community. But that there's going to be some challenges with that. So mark your calendars there and more information to come on that. I also had included a note this morning in your email about tentative future agendas that August 8th is a Saturday. That's the date that's been selected for Council's diversity and anti-oppression training, 9 to noon. And Rupa can share more about what that training looks like in her discussion item at the end of the meeting. And I think that's it for me today. Thanks.
Thank you. Joanna, do you have anything tonight?
I have nothing, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey, how about you?
I do not have anything tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Well, thank you. That would end communications. We're moving into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about the consent agenda? Or are we ready to vote? Joanna, call the vote.
Mayor Lighty?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica?
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar?
We lost him. Where'd he go?
Councilmember Escobar?
Maybe he stepped away for a moment.
I'll close that vote without his vote. And the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, public hearings tonight. So we will start with CB 1949. Joanna. Oh, Becky, I'm gonna mute you, babe. There you go.
A bill for an ordinance amending section 11-3-6, parent P, parent 2 of the Northglenn Municipal Code addressing distance limitations from oil and gas well sites to city facilities.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 1949. Joanna, were there any comments received prior to the meeting, or is there anyone who has signed up to speak on CB 1949?
There is nobody signed up to speak and no comments were submitted prior. And I don't see anybody on the phone line to speak either.
Okay. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. We are on ordinance on second reading, so CB 1949. Oil and Gas Regulations Amendment. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second reading?
Move to approval.
Second.
So Brooke Savoda, Director of Planning and Development, will provide a summary.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The proposed amendment contemplates adding city-owned facilities to the location restrictions under the provisions of this ordinance. The addition of the city-owned facilities would restrict the location of a well site that is located within 1,000 feet of a city-owned property unless a waiver is obtained. And with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Any discussion on this item tonight? Okay, Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Yes.
Councilmember Witkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquivel?
Yes.
We'll close that vote and CB 1949 on second reading passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving into resolutions, we are on CR 113. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution adopting a water efficiency plan for the city of Northglenn.
Move for approval.
Second.
So Tammy Moon, our environmental manager, is here to provide a summary. Hi, Tammy.
Hi there, Mayor, City Council. In April, I came to you and presented our 2020 water efficiency plan. We hired Element Water Consultants to come in and help us develop this plan along with our integrated water resources plan. Following that April presentation, we opened up a public comment period that ran from May 1st through the end of June. We had no public comment on our plan, and at this juncture, we have conditional approval from the Colorado Water Conservation Board for our water efficiency plan. The final draft or the final plan will be put together by Element, provided that City Council approves the resolution and adopts the 2020 water efficiency plan. With that, I am happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments for Tammy? Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. A question I get frequently from residents, and there's a lot of technical language in this, report that you gave us. So I don't know if the answer was in there, but people often ask why they see city parks sprinklers running when it's raining. And I was just wondering if that was something that was going to be addressed in your plan.
Sure. So that's not something that's specifically addressed in the water efficiency plan. It's something that our water resources staff are working with our Parks Department on. Unfortunately, a lot of our parks facilities have older irrigation systems that don't have those like rain sensors that allow the systems to be shut off when we have a particular amount of rain. The water efficiency plan, however, does allow us to access grant funding from the Colorado Water Conservation Board so that we can work with our Parks Department to put in those sorts of products, rain sensors and improved irrigation timers and more efficient sprinkler heads. So that's really a nice opportunity that both our Water Resources Department and our Parks Department will be able to take advantage of with the approval of this water efficiency plan.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right. All right. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else for Tammy? Okay, Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Yes.
Councilmember Witkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Mullica?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquivel?
Yes.
I will close that vote and CR 113 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving into discussion items. We have two tonight. The first one is the Northglenn Civic Center Master Plan Phase 1 Implementation July update. So Amanda Peterson is with us again, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services. Amanda, do you have anything you'd like me to present?
I do not tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. We are continuing to move forward on schedule with the construction of the new Recreation Center, Senior Center, and Theater. I'm pleased to report that we have no surprises to report to you this month. So it's always good news when this report is relatively or lacks excitement because it means things are moving ahead as planned. This month, the significant milestones included the installation of the roof joists in the gymnasium. So if you stand in the gym, there's a roof above you now, which is super exciting. And then the installation of the steel structure in the pool area, as well as the foundation and masonry walls that are going up on the south side of the building that will become our theater, senior center, and community room. So you're definitely able to see that building start to take shape from outside the fence now. Work continues forward on Memorial Plaza. The concrete seat walls are in place. While they were working on that plaza, they did take down the temporary protection that's in place around the memorial itself. While that was down, we happen to have our contractor who does our maintenance on all of our bronze pieces available. So he was able to take a quick look at it, and pleased to report that the sculpture itself remains in very good condition. We haven't had any challenges around construction or the protection that was in place. And then the new protection that'll go up is a smaller footprint. They're doing some work right around the base of the sculpture itself. But the protection goes back in place, and it'll come up and down a few times throughout this process. On another art note, we should be seeing the initial concept plans from artist Mark Ailing for our lobby sculpture that will be going in outside of the theater. So the Northland Arts and Humanities Foundation will be seeing those concept plans at their meeting in early August. So I'm excited to see what Mark Ailing has come up with for us. And then as always, at the end of the memo, there is a summary of the budget and contracts. But there were no unexpected changes this month or anything out of the ordinary in that list. And with that, if there are any questions that you have, I'd be happy to respond.
Any questions for Amanda? Okay, well, thank you for being here. We appreciate the update.
Of course, thank you.
All right, we're moving into the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board follow-up. I believe there is a presentation, so I will pull that up. Welcome back, Rupa.
Starting and ending your night.
Little bookend. Okay, you want me to begin on page, this one right here? Yes?
Yeah, you can go to the next one if you want.
Okay.
So good evening again. I'm not going to go through this entire slide, but just to remind the public that the purpose of our Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board is to support City Council's strategic focus on diversity and to really engage with our community to help inform Council on future decision making and to really help our city move forward with these goals. So the next couple, well, really the rest of the presentation talks about the composition of the board, if you want to go to the next slide, and also the interview process. And based on the last discussion with council, we did reach out to GARE for their advice and recommendation. And if you guys get through my presentation tonight, at the very end, you'll get to meet Roberto Montoya, who is the West Region Manager for GARE. So with that being said, so the member composition, so GARE recommends that the board not be more than 11 members. So with 2 residents representing each of the 4 wards, that makes 8. And then we would have 1 youth member at large, and then 2 at-large members. So that would be a total of 11. So the at-large members do not have to be, we're recommending that it not be a resident. So that would address Mayor Leidy's question about, whether or not we want to have a person from the business community and faith community serve, and also addresses the rest of council's question about how we can ensure that there is the composition of diversity that we want to see on the board. And then I'll go into that process a little bit more in the next couple slides. So for the council liaison, council can discuss that during the August 24th regular meeting. There's a discussion item on there on your future tentative agenda. And then I will be your staff liaison. So interview options. So based on last council discussion, it does sound like there was consensus that council members review all of the applications in their own particular ward. And then from there, they would select up to 5 to interview. And when we talked with GARE about their recommendation of whether or not we wanted all of council to review or to interview the applicants, the recommendation was that each ward interview their own applicants and then select their 2 representatives to serve on the board. One of the reasons for that is that way council members had real ownership of their own wards, but then also with council interviewing all of council interviewing the applicants, it would then trigger the public meeting requirements. And because of the sensitive nature of this board and something that we've never created before, we thought it would be better for these meetings, for these interviews not to be public. And so each ward would do their own interviews and select their own board members to represent their wards on the board. And then from the remaining applicants in their pool, they would select 1 or 2 applicants to move forward with the at-large interviews. So, and just to be clear, so if there's a youth applicant that is also a resident, that youth applicant could serve on the board as a ward representative. So the youth member at large seat does not necessarily mean that the other seats can't be filled by a youth member. They would just have to be a resident if you're looking for them to represent your ward. So after each ward selects their 2 board members, then from their remaining pools, they can select up to 1 to 2 applicants to get interviewed for the at-large position. What we're recommending for the youth member at large seat, based on previous council discussion, it seemed like there was interest with the mayor and council member Escabel reviewing those applications and doing the same process, interviewing up to 5 and selecting 1 board member to serve on that youth member at large seat. So for the 2 at-large members, so again, this pool will be determined after each ward selects their own board representatives to give them the opportunity to move 1 or 2 applicants forward for the interviews at large pool. So we're recommending that the mayor and whoever the council picks as their council liaison to interview up to 5 candidates and then select 2 people for the board member at large position. And then the second option is that council would interview all the candidates, but just a reminder of that public meeting requirement for the interviews. And I don't know, Mayor, if you if we want to stop there to discuss that, or if you want to continue.
I think so, because we have a couple of questions. So I see Councilmember Mullica.
I had a quick question, I guess, about the interview process, because I understand what you're saying, right? If we have all of us together, then it's going to be a public meeting anyway. But wouldn't these meetings the interviews would occur via web stream, I'm assuming, because we're still conducting business that way. And so, I mean, I guess I just always assumed that they would be recorded anyway, because this is, a public process. So I guess that's why I was just I understand that there might be some things that I guess people don't want to say over online during an interview process, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of the nature of the beast. I think, unfortunately, of serving in a public space, and as this board would do. So I don't know. I guess I would just be interested in what others' thoughts were about the option one, and not televising or not recording the interviews, because it just seems off to me. But I'm used to being recorded all the time. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, so I would defer that question, I guess, to Corey and Joanna as to what the requirements would be for option one in terms of what's available to the public.
Well, it certainly is not eligible for executive session, so it's either public or it's not. Or I mean, once you have 3 council members, then it is public in all senses.
So for the first option,
right?
So for the first option, the interviews would only be conducted by 2 council members at a time.
Yeah, I mean, then there is no obligation whatsoever to tape it or make it public.
Councilmember Brown.
Hi. My question, and I don't know if you can answer it or not, Rupa, or maybe it's coming in, but in the past, when people are put to the boards and commissions, there's a vote that comes before council to approve everybody that comes onto a board or commission. Will we still be following that process in this particular instance? Because I think it's really important. I'm okay with nominating 2 people from Ward 2. Joyce and I will work on that together in her pool. And I think that that's a really good idea, but I'd like to know that we're going to vote on these that we as a council also approve of all the candidates that are up.
Yeah, so the council appointment to the board will be done by a resolution on September 28th.
The comment that I would like to make is in regards to that is that in the past, we've always bundled everybody up into a bundle that's approved, and there's never been any real breakout of discussion. I'd like to fine tune that a little bit on this process. I would like to not see a final vote come through as on the consent agenda until we have a chance to look at all the candidates and talk to them after the council members have chosen who they feel would be best qualified or makes it through the interview process. I think it's important.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm curious as to, how people are interviewed for other boards and commissions. I think you had all seen that I had a question about that along those lines, so about residency on boards. And so I guess, I could accept that there's a good reason to have people who are not residents of Northglenn on this. That would be something I'm not going to, be too upset about. But I do want to know why, if other boards don't have, if the approval process is that you bring people forward and then as a group or whatever, and the council approves them, is this comparable what we're talking about, what we're doing with this board?
So Joanna can chime in on this as well, but when I did talk to her, she did say that all the other boards and commissions, the interview process is done by all of council all at once. So this would be a different process.
So I understand the, keeping the interviews more private. I mean, I think that would be probably a way that, you know, that I have mixed feelings about it, but I think if I was feeling a little uncertain about, you know, participating in something that, you know, we have to be honest, can be perceived as kind of controversial, or at least at this point, it seems like it's become politicized to a certain extent, that to have that privacy in working with just two people, as you know, as part of your interview, might be might encourage more people to want to volunteer to be on this, instead of having it having it more public. That's where I'm standing right now. If someone wants to kind of like talk me out of it, I'm willing to listen. But I do think that this board is a little different than our other boards. The intent of it is a little bit different, and we are really trying to do more outreach and get a more diverse group of people who ordinarily wouldn't participate in local government or in a board or a commission like this to participate, because we do want to hear those voices. So whatever decision we make, I hope that it's the one that will be help encouraging to people who we want to apply to this.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
I actually just dropped my hand back down.
I'm sorry.
But that's fine. I'm happy to chat. I guess, I'm interested from, Rupa, and I see we also have Roberto here from GARE. Is there a way that you all have seen interviews be conducted in a way that's the most accessible to everyone? Is there a way that we should be doing this that's worked in other municipalities?
So I know I said that Roberto has to wait till the end, but this would probably be a good time for him to chime in.
I think so.
Roberto, if you want to chime in, you can.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, members of council. So I wish I had a clearer answer for you, but boards and commissions are all over the place with so many different municipalities, and especially regarding appointments and interview processes. And so there are many municipalities that I work with that the interview process is not public, and that it is more of an appointee type of position where you interview potentially with a mayoral appointee, and they make a recommendation to council, and it comes up, and there's not necessarily a process that goes through that. When we talked about this particular process, I do think that that you all are unique in the way that you go about boards and commissions. And that's not to say that it's bad. However, I think that with the nature of this board and the potential answers, and especially given when you get in the presentation, when you get to the application form, that there's a potentiality for folks to answer questions in ways that are true to them, that may cause that are on public record, that they may not feel comfortable with that, and so you may lose folks who don't want to go on public record to say how they feel about equity in an honest way. So I do think that I would recommend trying out this way, and then I know you can look at potentially re-examining that process later, but that would be my recommendation at this point, just so you get the largest pool of applicants for this potential process. Now, in terms of accessibility, there are many ways that you can go about that. I think using technology is indeed a way to create more accessible. That's one way of doing it. But I want to be clear on when you mean by accessibility. Are you talking in terms of, in what way do you mean accessibility? I just want to make sure I'm very clear on and explicit in terms of what you mean there.
Mayor Pro Tem, was that your question?
Yeah, thank you for that.
Do you have an answer for Roberto?
No, sorry.
That's okay.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
I also totally put you on the spot, Roberto. So I so appreciate you jumping in and giving us some feedback here.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson?
I like option one. I think it's I think you can do some good things with that. I think you can hear from a lot of good people, and it's good as opposed to a holistic thing. It's a good, very local government aspect of ward representation. We've got so much coming up, you know, with the budget, everything like that, the 360, many things. I just think Ward 1 is both a good choice for both efficacy and legitimacy.
Thank you. Does everyone want to weigh in? Councilmember Brown?
Not really. I just want, I approve of option 1.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Okay. Councilmember Downing?
And I would support number 1.
How are we feeling? Antonio, looks like 1. Councilmember Whitkovich, do you want to weigh in? Yeah. So I also agree. I appreciate Roberto's assessment and recommendation. I found this to be super intriguing when Rupert presented it last week. I just think it's an interesting way to go about it, and I look forward to tackling a new and creative method. So thank you for bringing that forward. Does anybody want to speak to it before we move forward? Any final thoughts before Councilmember Malika?
Yeah, I guess my final question is, so if we're going to do option 1, which is fine, I think that's good. And then going back to kind of what Becky was asking earlier, so we're going to bring forth these candidates, right? And then are we going to vote on them by all of council, or like if your ward puts forth 2 candidates, those are the 2 candidates and all of council doesn't have to vote on it? Or how is that going to work?
Go ahead, Corey.
I think in listening to this discussion, what I'm envisioning is very similar to how NERA board members are selected, in that actually it is a mayoral appointment with the consent of the governing body. So you actually have a resolution that's essentially affirming the mayor's selection to NERA. So in this case, it would be the appointment by the particular ward members with the consent of the governing body. So it would ultimately be an appointment by council, but based on the recommendation of the 2 ward members.
So if this also helps, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So this also helps too. You'll see later in the presentation the timeline, and what we could do is build in a second week of interviews. So the first week of interviews can just be the ward appointments. So after that's done, and you guys send me who you are selecting, I can, compile like a summary of the applicants that everybody has selected and send it out to all of council. And then that way, when you're selecting from your remaining pool to move forward to the at-large interviews, you kind of have an idea of what everybody's thinking, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Councilmember Brown.
I'm sorry, Rupa, you kind of cut out for me. I think more people are getting on in their rooms here. Can you repeat the last statement, the last part of the statement that you made? Because I'm confused, in all honesty. So then would the wards be then making the decision, right? Like, I'm just going to refer to Joyce and I. Then Meredith would be approving who we were with number 1?
No, so each ward, so the first week of interviews, each ward would be making their selections. And then I would compile that information just like as a summary and send it out to all of council so that all of council knows, what the other wards are selecting. And then that way, when you're looking at your remaining pool to select who you want to move forward to for the at-large positions, you have an idea of the makeup of the 8 representatives from the wards.
Okay. I got it. Thank you. Sorry.
Councilmember Peterson?
Thanks. I don't know, does that add an extra superfluous step in this? If we're going through these interviews, I trust my fellow council people to make their decision. I'd rather not do 2 rounds on a personal level. I think we can handle this locally.
Is it more of an official approval, Rupa? Like a step we have to take no matter what?
I don't think it's like an official approval, but it's just to give you guys an idea of who's selecting who from all the other wards, if that helps your decision at all, to select who's going to move forward to the at-large interviews. So it's honestly extra work for myself, but I think it might help council just have an idea of what the other wards are selecting, if that's helpful at all. If it's not, I'm totally fine leaving it out.
Councilmember Goff?
So if I'm understanding this, after the whole council gets the summary of what each ward, of each ward's 2 candidates, then we are going to, and this part I'm still a little vague on, is the council, who's going to be interviewing the at-large people? I think I remember seeing that, but if you could just go over it. So the reason that it might be helpful for us to see that summary is for those final 3 people that we're thinking are probably going to be a business person, maybe a church leader, and the youth, at-large youth.
Correct. That's exactly the reason for that.
And so then I'm just going to repeat. Does it say in here who? I'm looking. I've got it in 2 different places on my laptop.
So what I'm proposing.
Last 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm proposing is that for the youth member at large, the mayor and council member Escobel make that pick, and then for the 2 at large members, the mayor and the council liaison.
Oh, right. You had said that. Thank you. Got it.
All right, are we feeling like Rupa can move forward? Okay, so we were here and now we are here.
So for the vacancy process, this is actually something that Roberto, when he was reviewing our process, he brought up, and also something that Amanda conveyed to me from the Youth Commission conversation that they had as well, is that so our membership right now is a 3-year term, but we do understand that there might be youth applicants that might feel like they're not able to complete that entire commitment of 3 years. So Roberto had recommended that we not change the 3-year term since it matches with our other boards and commissions, but that we make sure when we're advertising and talking to youth members that we do strongly encourage them to still apply, and it's okay if they don't finish their entire 3-year term. And this is how the vacancy process would work for the youth member at large or any other vacancy that we have on the board. So we can open the application for 30 days. And then if council is not okay, or if council wants more applications to come in, we can reopen the application for another 30 days until council's satisfied. And then the interview and selection process would be the same. So what that means is, for example, say there's a Ward 1 vacancy. So the applications would be given to the Ward 1 council members. They would select who they want to interview, and then they would make that appointment to the board. And then all of council would have to agree to it. So I don't know if there's any questions to that, or if that's pretty self-explanatory.
That seems pretty clear. I don't see any hands. We'll keep moving.
Okay, so the timeline for implementation. So nothing has changed on this, but I did want to highlight one thing. So Roberto had recommended that council go through training before council conducts the interviews. So as Heather had mentioned before, we are on track to do that with our August 8th training with Regan Bird. And when I have, so I'll send out to council before August 8th more about what the training looks like in Regan's bio as well, so you have that information. But so we are on track to have council do that training before those interviews happen. And then, like I mentioned, if council, and I don't think you need to decide this tonight, honestly, but if council wants to add an extra week of interviews, there's time to do that. The week of August, I think 20th would be the date. So next steps, we just need direction from council as to whether or not you want to have the 2 at-large board positions as well as the youth member at-large position to finalize the application. So the only thing that is missing besides council direction is the voluntary information. The legal disclaimer still needs to be added on there, but also if council wants to give direction as to, it sounds like you guys are on board with the interviews not being a public process. The only thing is that the reason why I included this on here is in case council did want it to make it a public process. I do think it's only fair to advertise it on the application and then in the August and September connection. But if it's not going to be a public process, then we can also leave that part out. The finalized consultant for training and board assistance. So we're just finalizing the contract essentially with Regan. And then the draft ordinance for the first reading on August 10th is something that will be upcoming to make it official. And then to start marketing and doing outreach efforts during August and September, a little bit of September. So I think,
Corey?
Yeah, and I just wanted to emphasize to council, I think Rupa said it, but the application is not final. So we've been working feverishly to do some of the research to make sure the application doesn't put the city at risk, but the voluntary information component of the application in your packet is going to change fairly significantly. So I didn't want council to be looking at that thinking that was going to be what the final application looked like.
Councilmember Goff, you have a question?
Well, Corey may have answered it. I remember from a previous conversation that someone on council had requested or wondered if we could put on a question in there about renting or owning your home, and I didn't see that. So that I don't know if that's still being considered or.
It's in the applicant information box.
Oh, okay. It's a long application process. I give credit to whoever fills it out. I mean, I hope people do that. There it is. I see. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's meet Roberto. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Madam Mayor, members of council, again, Roberto Montoya. I am the GARE West Regional Manager. I work for Race Forward, and GARE, the Government Alliance on Race and Equity, falls under the umbrella of Race Forward. And it is truly an honor to be here with you all and to see the amazing work that you all are doing. I want to echo, I can't remember which council member said it earlier, but you all are doing great work. I work with about 180 different jurisdictions and municipalities in the West. So I have all of the West minus California. Since California is so large, they have 2 regional managers. But I do want to commend you all for this work and for beginning this process of not just doing the work internally, but also looking how to connect community in this conversation. I think it is a process that many municipalities are struggling with. And when I had the conversation with Rupa, seeing the work that you all are doing, and I watched the very lively and passionate dialogue that happened last week, I just think that you all are on the right path in doing this work. And so GARE, as you know, and I'm really remiss that we're not able to help and assist with some of the training, because as you imagine in this moment, we have unprecedented requests for training and folks that want to work with GARE. And so because of that, our training timeline is just pushed out so far. But I do find it very important to do this type of work and to support you all in the work that you're doing in any way that I can with the GARE network, and then also with the work that I do. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have now been in Colorado longer than I was in New Mexico, which makes me feel some kind of way because New Mexico is my home,
but Colorado is also my home now. I live in Adams County, out in Commerce City. So I am here in the area. And I worked in the private sector for the first 10 years of my career for Hershey, the chocolate company, as a sales and marketing rep. Chocolate is not a hard sale. It was a pretty amazing job. I just wish they didn't close our regional office. I worked for Red Robin Gourmet Burgers in their corporate offices. Sadly got laid off in 2008 when the market crashed. And then I went into academia. I got a master's in ethics studies and then did PhD work at the University of Colorado, Denver in education and human development. And my research is around race and large systems. So how race operates in school districts and governmental agencies. I worked for the city and county of Denver for 3 years after leaving academia. Worked out of the mayor's office and did equity and inclusion work out at the airport for 3 years. And then was part of a GARE cohort through the city and county of Denver. And that's how I learned of GARE. Saw an opening, I applied for it because much of my work throughout my entire career, I've had a deep passion and a desire to talk about race in very purposeful and meaningful ways. And I'll say this, one of my favorite authors is a gentleman named Zeus Leonardo. And if you're going to write books, have a name like Zeus Leonardo, right? That's such a fantastic name. But he wrote a wonderful book called Race Frameworks. And I thought about this when I was watching council meeting last week, was that he starts the book and he says this. He says, race thought and work is never easy. It's full of tension. It's ripe with contradictions. However, we must recruit all the help that we can get, and our analysis should be as complex as the topic itself. This work is not easy, and you all are taking a very nuanced approach to doing this work, and I really commend you for that. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's going to be full of tension, ripe with contradictions, but I want you to know that I am here as a support to you all and anything that I can do to help navigate these conversations, to be a resource for you to lean on if you have questions, because there are a lot of questions that come up with this work because many of us have never been allowed or maybe even had the ability to do this work in a very substantive and meaningful way. And so I just want you to know that. And so I really appreciate the time to be here to listen to you all and to learn from you all as well. And so thank you so much for this opportunity to meet you all.
Thank you for being here. We are the lucky ones to have you. Rupa, do you have any final thoughts for tonight?
No, I think I'm going to end on that high note.
That's a good idea.
Well, I would like to ask about the membership composition, if council is okay moving forward with the one youth member at large seat and the 2 at-large board members, just so we can start advertising. And again, the application is not finalized at all, but if just the 3 at-large membership composition, if we can get direction on that.
Okay. I saw 3 or 4 thumbs up and no thumbs down. There's 2 from Becky. Ha ha ha.
And it sounds like we're good with the interview process being in interview option number 1, so that we do not have to advertise that it's going to be public interviews. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, I think we have come to the end. We are now moving into public invited to be heard, 3 minutes per speaker. Joanna, do we have anyone who would like to speak to council at this time?
I am going to unmute the callers on the line just in case they would like to provide public comment. I don't know if they wish to or not.
Okay.
So they are unmuted now in case they would like to provide public input.
Okay, so this is an opportunity for public comments. These are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and comments must be related to an item previously addressed by the council during the meeting. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak with council at this time?
Hi, my name is Tracy Kilgore, and I would like to speak regarding the city council protocol.
Okay.
I would like to say that I've been watching city council meetings, whether they were in person or being online now, how they have been, for probably 5 to 10 years. And I would like to say that I've witnessed the action of city council members, the body language of city council members, the speaking down of city council members and the lecturing of city council members. I think it's disrespectful to others that the idea that certain council members are the only ones that are doing this, when in fact it's I wouldn't say a majority. There's probably 3 council members that act that way. So I think all council members should be held accountable. And that's basically what I have to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. We're well under 3 minutes. Okay. Is there anybody else? No? Okay. So we have come to the end. So there being no further business, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.